Hi. Today you're going to be meeting Andy Baker. Now, when we first met Andy Baker, he was living up in Sheffield. Out of the Ashes had never even been thought about yet, and he wasn't married. But now he's a man who lives down near us, down in Gloucestershire. He's got two lovely children, a beautiful wife, and he's still involved with Out of the Ashes. Meet Andy Baker. So this is my friend Andy Baker and mine and Kevin's friend Andy Baker. Say hello, Andy.
Hello, good morning.
Now, Andy is the first person that can be blamed for Out of the Ashes getting started. I think. I think we
Oh
have
dear.
to. I think we have to point all blame at Andy. So, so now I used to tell people Andy was our producer, but I think our producer has kind of handed over to Aaron. But you ran the company, or run the company, that I sent a CD to, saying these are some of our
Yeah, I
songs.
remember what people used to send us CDs all the time, and now it's like an annual occurrence getting a CD in the post. But yeah,
So what do most people send you?
we get emails every day of the week,
Right.
MP3s and links to mostly links to Spotify and SoundCloud, I guess now. But yeah, it used to be CDs in the post most weeks, and I remember we would listen to them. And I remember enjoying the kind of the mix of genres and styles. It was something quite different, particularly um, having worked a lot with Christian artists, where so much just sounds the same. Everyone just kind of a bit homogenized, and this was like, wow, some Christian music that's quite different. So I remember listening to it and thinking, there's something here. And we had a chat on the phone, and that's where it all started.
Well, it's quite funny because I remember very strongly how that conversation went. But first of all, I think it's worth telling you that we thought, okay, well, we've written 17 songs. What are we going to do with them? And we started looking for a publisher. So I got in touch with you thinking, maybe he'll do some music publishing. And you made it very clear that you weren't a publisher per se, you were a recording company. And and that first, so no, I sent the CD out to all sorts of people, or no, I phoned all sorts of people and said, can I send you a CD? And I got extraordinary responses like, yeah, it'll probably take us about a year to get back, so don't hassle us. and and we were just really appalled that people would behave that way. So we but we did some desktop research, and that was because we looked around Greenbelt, which at the time was being held at Cheltenham Racecourse near us.
Yeah.
We'd planned to go to Cheltenham Racecourse, but we didn't. We were doing something else, can't remember what. And so Kevin sat on the internet looking at who the artists were and what their music was, and he found this lady, Philippa Hanna. And Philippa Hanna really impressed us. So, of course, it was the work of a moment to see who was behind Philippa Hanna. And there was this man, Andy Baker. And so we got in touch with you. And amazingly, we were told, yeah, and following day, you were back. You phoned us back, which just was kind of, good grief, nobody does this in the music industry.
Yeah.
And you said, yeah, your voice is okay. I think we should do some recording. I said, no, we're too old.
I don't know. I was quite that forward. I remember having a chat on the phone, and I think, yeah, I mean, you've got to do something and find a way to share the songs, and I think from my recollection, you were hoping someone else would sing the songs,
I
and
was.
that's, I guess, a dream for all songwriters, is that they get people to sing the songs. But the challenge is, most artists want to sing their own songs, or at least collaborate on the songs. So it's a hard kind of thing to do, to find people who are going to take the songs on, unless you've got a leading publisher, or big publishing
Yeah.
company behind you who are, and they work tirelessly, these A&R people at publishing companies, trying to place and pitch the songs. And so I think my suggestion was, just start a band, sing them
Pour it
yourself.
yourself. Stop being a lightweight.
There you go. And you love it. You've enjoyed it.
Oh, we have such fun. I was very grumpy at first, though, Andy, and you came to see us, and I gather you were, because your wife has some local family, doesn't she, down in Gloucestershire, doesn't she? Is that right? Have I got that right?
No, wrong.
Okay.
I have some. You might be getting mixed up. I have some family in Gloucestershire. Like my cousins and my late uncle lived in Withington, actually, just outside of Cheltenham. So I kind of had some family here, but we're actually seeing some of Emily's friends who at the time were based in India, but they were back in the UK in the Forest of Dean. So we came down to see them for a couple of days, and being a very good, I got an A star in geography at school, so I know my geography. I know that the kind of Gloucestershire, Forest of Dean are kind of in the same ballpark. So I was like, well, we had this chat on the phone, and we thought maybe there's something to explore. So I thought let's just pop out for a couple of hours from the Forest of Dean, and came and saw you in Painswick. So that was which was lovely. But I did have a bit of a conundrum, because I had this important meeting with some prospective clients. I had my laptop, but I forgot to bring my briefcase, and so I was like, what do I do? And Emily, my wife, had a very colourful bag from Paperchase.
It was very floral. It was
very floral, not especially kind of typically me, but I thought, I don't want my laptop to fly around in the boot or fall off the seat, because then that's my my work down the drain. So I put it into the floral bag, and I ended up bringing that into the house and having to apologise. So my first impression was a floral bag.
Yeah, no. Well, it made you very kind of balanced and T-shaped. It's okay. I have this term for men who are T-shaped, who are balanced and can cook and can change nappies and can do all that stuff.
Oh, I can do those things.
And you were very T-shaped, so that bag made you look T-shaped. So it was okay. And we sat in the sun, I seem to remember, and we talked, and you persuaded us that we ought to do some recording. And actually then, of course, because of course we lived in a Cotswold house with ancient heating.
Did it have heat? I don't remember any heating.
It was
all the time.
No, there really was heating.
Oh, there was. Okay.
To get it up to that extremely cold temperature, we had the heating on maxed out, I promise you. But then, of course, you brought Mark down to be engineer for when we recorded, because we had a recording studio there, and you brought Mark Wilson with you. And I said, for goodness sake, tell him to bring lots of underwear and lots of woolly pullovers. People don't get the importance of wool when they're wanting to be warm. And I seem to remember you told him halfway along the journey between Sheffield and Gloucestershire. It's a fat load of you, Sandy.
Yeah, we did actually then put onto when we were working out of the studio in subsequent years, we did have it on our kind of information sheet that went out to all the artists: bring slippers, bring woolly jumpers, all that kind of stuff, because it could get a bit chilly staying
it could get pretty chilly. Mark wore a coat for the entire first visit. He just never took it off. He probably slept in it, I don't know, but I didn't ask. Now, of course, so we did the first album, and it was breathtaking to me to see what happens when somebody that knows how to arrange music takes a very rough song and arranges it and puts stops in on the drums and things and just brings it to life. So for me, that was huge. It was like Christmas, seeing that coming to life. And then we did the second album, and Kevin and I were starting to have a clue what we were doing by the second album. But then we got invited to go and record, to judge a battle of the bands, didn't we? I seem to remember.
We did. It was Halloween. I remember very clearly.
It was Halloween.
It was Halloween, and it was. It wasn't a Halloween battle of the bands. It was a kind of, as I recall, it was some friends of yours involved in the church who were thinking, what could we do as a kind of, churches do light parties and things kind of anti-Halloween. And they thought, let's do a battle of the bands and celebrate creativity with the young people rather than trick or treating. But it was quite scary at times. Some of the music was quite frightening, possibly Halloween themed. But the most scary thing is, as you'll probably remember, we got put up in a really nice big house, but it was in the middle of a wood. It was in the middle of a wood, and we had to drive through this kind of park and wood. and it had more taxidermy than I've ever seen in a building. There was like bears and deers, and it was so creepy, and it was staying there on Halloween.
With no host, and because
No
the host
host. Yeah,
had gone on holiday and they'd very kindly left us with this amazing house.
Yeah.
Bread and butter and cheese in the fridge, which we were into like a shop because we were starving. But it was a scary house, wasn't it?
It was a spooky house, and to stay there on your own without the hosts, who may have been ghosts or some other creatures, on Halloween was something we're still talking about 7-8 years on. It's something I remember very vividly.
And of course the other thing was you and the cat. Now this is not the cat at the house we were staying there. That's because, of course, anybody that knows Kevin and me knows that we are owned by a large cat who actually runs the house. And he could not understand that you were allergic to him at all, could he?
No, he's very fond of me, and I was not awfully fond of him. And the reason being, I do have occasional quite severe cat allergies, which results in coughing fits and runny noses,
and asthma.
It's not good. And I think the cat had got into the laundry, or I know, like,
no, he'll have come and gone onto your bed. We spend our lives asking people to keep their bedroom doors shut, and some of them think, well, yeah, but we like him, he can be on our bed. And you think, yeah, but the next guest, when the cat's been, and you can hoover and wash as much as you like, but once the cat's been in there, that room is catified. So you disappeared in the middle of the night, didn't you, one night?
Yeah, it was bad, and then it got worse, then it got even worse. So the cat had obviously been in at some point, and I started to get wheezy and just not quite right. So I tried to think, I'll just go to sleep. I think I might have even had an antihistamine or something, and just it wasn't working. So I ended up just thinking, I'll go and get some fresh air. Then I came back in, and then it still wasn't working. Then I was like, I was so tired, and I was getting a bit delirious, and so then I was like, all right, I'll just have to go in my car. I said, I didn't want to.
You went to the studio. You went to the recording studio.
Yeah, I went to the
alarm off.
Yeah, I tried the car. That didn't work. Then I went to the studio, set the alarm off because I got the code wrong. Then I had to ring Kevin, who was obviously, I think he answered the phone and gave me the code, but I don't know if he remembered in the morning. I think he was asleep. And then that just didn't work. I spent hours wheezing on, and then I ended up there. But it was quite a long night.
Yeah,
I can't remember how grumpy I was the next day. But
we just got up and found no Andy there.
Yeah.
But you survived, I'm very pleased to say. And now we've now done 4 albums, and you've got this unbelievable resource of musicians that you pull in from all over the place. Were they all people you went to college with, or where do all these musicians come from?
I think it's often you build up a network of people, and they have a network of people, and they have a network of people. So it's I guess many years of making records myself, and Aaron's been working with me for about 11 years or so now.
Yeah.
And I think particularly for your project with Out of the Ashes, it's quite niche in a way, because you go like, right, we're going to do some blues now, and now we're going to do some jazz, and now we're going to do gospel, and now some worship
country's crept in,
pop country, and then we're going to introduce a new song with a little bit of Swahili, which needs a new So I think for your music, it's always trying to find very dexterous musicians who not kind of just set in one style or genre, but who are very adaptable. And then sometimes, with albums we've had. We had Jamie Parker, who's he's a kind of jazz pop guy.
Yeah.
And then Michael Davis, who's an amazing, he's a kind of gospel flavors.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't find people who can do everything at the very best level. So sometimes it's just trying to find the right people for the right songs. I know with Polly, we ended up, we have a multi-instrumentalist we work with in Sheffield, and he threw on some accordion. His family are Italian, and he's grown up playing the accordion, and he just got it straight away, you know, just something really fun and colorful. So I think it's always trying to tell the story of the songs through the right musicians, and yeah, but you definitely keep us on our toes with all the different flavors. It's like a kind of international cuisine buffet, you know. We've got to try and keep everything together, but no, it's amazing how far it has evolved from the first album, which was a huge step forward. But then, you know, as you got more involved, like the second album, you knew so much more of what you wanted to do, and then, you know, you kind of taken it forward, and I guess develop this kind of range of things that you do, which is really good, because I think it makes the concerts really colorful and vibrant and interesting. And there's something for everyone at an Out of the Ashes concert, which is what I really like about the style, which is quite unique, because not many artists really are that eclectic, but yet still manage to hold it together.
Thank you. I think there's a compliment in there, so I'm going to take that, Andy.
A compliment, yeah. I mean, you've made 4 albums. I know Kevin said there's about 55 songs in the pot at the moment.
Yeah, you can't stop Kevin. You can't stop Kevin. You won't.
That's great.
Now, tell me what you're doing now. What is Andy Baker up to?
What I'm doing now is a few different things. I started up a new community in 2018 called Homegrown Worship. So after 10 years of not sharing any of my own songs, because I've been so busy helping other people with their music and their, you know, building their audiences and things like that, I started sharing my own songs again, kind of for the church, through a kind of community called Homegrown Worship. So I put a lot of time and energy and resource into starting that. So we're kind of helping writers, artists, and churches to record, develop, and share their songs. So that's still bubbling away and very busy. Lots of new music coming out. And then last year, obviously, everything turned upside down. So we spent quite a lot of time relaunching our crowdfunding platform, Rocket Fuel. So we're helping a lot of artists to get the funds they need from their fans and followers, or even friends and family, just to help, you know, fund the next recording or the next album, or building a studio in the garage. So Rocket Fuel and training people in Rocket Fuel, Homegrown Worship is where I spend a lot of my time. But just, it's all kind of just helping artists to identify their goals, step towards the next thing that they're doing. I just love encouraging people to do it, because there's always a reason to not do it. There's always a reason to wait, and, you know, if you've got a story to tell and songs to sing, you need to sing them. You need to tell the story. And so it's just trying to help motivate people to do that, encourage them, and offer them whatever assistance we can provide, or connect them with people who can help them. So yeah, kind of, it's a fun and interesting existence.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, thank you very much indeed. I don't know how long we've chatted for here. I never have a clue of the time on these things. But thank you very much indeed.
No worries. Good to catch up, Penny.
Take care and God bless.
Bless you.
Bye.
Bye.
Next week, we're going to be meeting the gentleman that played drums on all of the albums for Out of the Ashes, and did the sound production on the most recent 3 albums for Out of the Ashes. He's a phenomenal gentleman and an amazing musician. Look forward to next week.